Hey guys, it's me, your boy Doki. Thank you so much for tuning into this video. Today, we're going to try something different. We're going to do a dynamic reading of My Hero Academia Chapter 1. I've always wanted to do fun, action-packed readings, so this is going to be that. It's going to be a condensed version of Volume 1 and something that you guys can listen to that is entertaining, and that, it's something that you guys will get into if you guys don't have, a time to read the manga. I will be reading it off to you like an audiobook in a sense. But yeah, everything is edited down just to avoid copyright on the manga side. But other than that, this is my take on My Hero Academia. And if you guys want more of these, let me know down in the comment section below. And maybe we'll continue it down the line in the future. I just wanted to try something different. Just quick before we get started, I want to give a shout out to my patrons out on Patreon. If you guys want to be like these lovely people flying across the screen, all you got to do is donate down below to the link to Patreon. And yeah, and if these lovely people, they're my rock. They keep the lights on. They keep me making audios for you. And yeah, if you guys remember from yesterday's audio, if you didn't read yesterday's audio, then we're making audios every single day of the week from now until I don't want to say that word on I don't want to say unalived on YouTube just in case they demonetize me with that big yellow ugly cash mark, but until I don't want to make audios anymore. But yeah, this intro has been long enough. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I love you, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. The story begins with our hero, Izuku Midoriya, only at 4 years old, protecting a crying classmate from schoolyard bullies. Successfully gaining their attention, Izuku balls his fists up, preparing for a fight. Outnumbered, the bullies overpower Izuku, and give him the beating that he will never forget. You see, in this world, people are not born equal. People in this world are born with exceptional abilities called quirks. The origin of these quirks are unknown, but one of the first quirks can be traced back some time ago to a city in China when a bioluminescent baby was born. Soon, more and more quirks started popping up, and the exceptional became the new normal. Today, 80% of the world's current population is born with a quirk, making fantasy a reality, sending the world into chaos. We cut back to the young Izuku watching clips of a brave hero saving lives from a collapsed building. We hear the boisterous laughter as the number one hero, All Might, emerges from the rubble, carrying multiple people on his back. A nearby onlooker recording the event states that All Might has nearly saved 100 people in only 10 minutes. All Might smiles and tells everyone not to fear, because I am here. Midoriya excitedly rocks back and forth in his chair, proudly proclaiming to his mother that he is going to be just like All Might with an amazing quirk of his own. Jump cut to Midoriya and his mother into the doctor's office, finding out the terrible news that Izuku was born quirkless. The doctor explains that Izuku at his age should be showing signs of having a quirk by now, and that due to an extra joint in Izuku's pinky toe, he will never develop one. Back at home, Izuku in tears tells his mother that he still wants to be a hero, one that never stops smiling, like All Might. Inko, now in tears, tries to comfort Izuku, apologizing over and over, but that isn't what Izuku wanted her to say. 10 years later, Izuku is now 14 years old and on his way to school, stopped by a scene ripped straight from the comic books. A team of pro heroes is attempting to subdue a giant villain wreaking havoc in the streets. A hero seemingly made of wood swings onto the scene. Illegal use of your abilities during rush hour, as well as robbery and assault? You're pure evil. Kamui Woods! Izuku geeks out from the crowd of onlookers. The two engage in battles as Izuku gives his commentary. Here comes his preemptive binding! As Kamui Woods is about to use his finishing move, a gigantic foot slams into the villain's face, knocking him out cold. A newly debuted Mountain Lady steals the spotlight. With the villain now in custody, we learn that being a pro hero is not only a real job funded by the government, but it is also a popularity contest based on public perception and performance. Izuku takes down today's events in his notebook, methodically planning and loudly mumbling to himself. Later that day, Izuku's sitting in his last days of his 3rd year in middle school, listening to his homeroom teacher go on about their futures and how they need to start planning for their careers. The teacher then throws the forms into the air, knowing that all of them want to be pro heroes one day, proudly stating that his students have magnificent quirks. Midoriya sheepishly hides his face away, as a loud voice from the back of the classroom proudly calls everyone in the class a loser. The class shouts back at Katsuki Bakugo. Bakugo, not hearing a word, jumps on his desk, telling everyone that he alone will make UA's hero course and surpass All Might one day. Bakugo's gloating is cut short by a voice saying that Midoriya has also applied for UA's hero course. Bakugo angrily slams his palms onto Midoriya's desk, causing an explosion that sends Midoriya flying, hitting his back against the wall of the classroom. An angry Bakugo approaches Midoriya, sparks in hand, calling him defenseless without a quirk. Defenseless Izuku, or Deku for short, an insulting nickname Bakugo has been calling him since childhood. Midoriya tries to reason with Bakugo, stating that he is allowed to try his best. This sends the entire class into a laughing frenzy, embarrassing Midoriya further. Somewhere downtown, a large, horrifying goop monster is terrorizing the streets. Desperate civilians are calling for a hero. Someone is bound to show up sooner or later. With a small cough in the background, someone in the crowd smiles and proudly says, "I am here." Back at the classroom, the final bell rings and the students begin to shuffle out. Before Midoriya could leave, Bakugo and his friends corner him. Bakugo then steals the notebook that he had been writing in, and on the cover, the title reads, "Hero Analysis for My Future, number 13. Midoriya tries to take the notebook back from Bakugo, but he then blows it up and throws it out the classroom window before he can even get a hand on it. Bakugo boasts that he's a perfectionist, and that he'll be the first from their middle school to get into UA High School. Bakugo starts to intimidate Midoriya by singeing his shoulder, telling him to stay away from UA. Midoriya tries to find the words to fight back, but he stands there in utter silence. Bakugo and his friends start to walk out of the classroom. Flinging one last insult at Midoriya, he states that he might have a quirk in his next life, and he should go take a swan dive off the roof. Defeated, Midoriya fishes his destroyed notebook from the school's pond and walks home. While walking through a tunnel, Midoriya says that he's fed up with what everybody has to say, and he doesn't care. He's going to be a pro hero anyway. Just then, the goop monster from earlier emerges from the sewers and quickly surrounds Midoriya. A medium-sized boy to hide in, the villain says, and forces its way into Midoriya's mouth. Drowning in the goop, Midoriya tries to call for help, but he's unable. He claws at the goop, but the villain says that he's made out of liquid. He tells Midoriya to stop fighting it, and that it'll be over soon. Unable to breathe, Midoriya panics. He doesn't want to die. Just then, with groceries in hand, All Might jumps out of the same sewer, and with a swift Texas smash, the villain is punched out of Midoriya's mouth and splats against the tunnel wall. Midoriya blacks out. All Might wakes Midoriya with gentle slaps on his face. Relieved that Midoriya is fine and can walk, All Might puts on a show full of bravado. All Might then thanks Midoriya for his help in capturing the villain, as he holds the soda bottle up, contents now replaced with the goop. A starstruck Midoriya pulls out his notebook, preparing to ask for an autograph, but when he opens it, he's shocked to see that All Might has already signed it when he was knocked out. All Might puts the villain in his pockets and prepares to take flight. Midoriya snaps out of his daze and begs All Might to wait. He has a question for him. All Might, racing against time, puts off Midoriya and he leaps into the sky. In the air, All Might feels himself growing weaker, but he is shocked to find the young boy that he had saved earlier clinging to his leg. While trying to shake the boy off, the bottles containing the villain fall out of All Might's pockets. Then blood leaves the side of All Might's mouth. Shit. He's out of time. Bursting out of the bottles, now awake, the villain sets his eyes on a new body to hide in. Bakugo, still angry at Midoriya, walks home, unaware of the dangers that approach him. And in the blink of an eye, the goop villain surrounds Bakugo. On a nearby rooftop, Midoriya lands, letting Midoriya down safely. Realizing that the villain is no longer in his custody, he tells Midoriya he needs to go. But then Midoriya shouts, "Can someone without a quirk still become a hero like you?" Stunned, All Might stops. But before he can answer, he's surrounded by steam, and where he once stood, a skinny man with disheveled hair and eyes deeply sunken in replaces him. Midoriya, shocked, calls the man an imposter, but the man says that he is All Might. Due to a massive injury he sustained from fighting a powerful villain a few years ago, has left him a fraction of his former self. He explains to Midoriya that after the fight, his respiratory system was destroyed, and his stomach needed to be removed. He could only perform hero work for only 3 hours a day now. He asks Midoriya to keep this a secret, because he is the symbol of peace, and without the symbol, the world will fall into chaos again. And to answer Midoriya's question, All Might says it's not wrong to dream, but it's simply too dangerous to be a hero without a quirk. All Might then leaves the devastated Midoriya alone on the roof. With the goop villain taking over Bakugo, his struggling has caused him to set off his explosive quirk, setting many fires in the area. Heroes are overwhelmed by trying to put out the fires and to settle the crowd of onlookers. They all realize that no one is strong enough to save Bakugo. An out-of-breath All Might arrives on the scene, grasping at his chest. He calls himself pathetic. For running out of time, he stands there, powerless. On the other side of the crowd, a sulking Midoriya also arrives. Trying to fight back tears, he hears a familiar explosion. Rushing to the front, he sees the goop villain from earlier, now attacking his childhood friend turned bully, Bakugo. Midoriya blames himself for wasting All Might's time. It's his fault that he's now powerless, and now people are hurt, and Bakugo is going to die. Bakugo's desperate eyes meet Midoriya's, and without thinking, Midoriya's body moves on its own, and he rushes to save his friend. Pro heroes call him a fool, and then it needs to stop. But he can't. He continues to run. Throwing his backpack at the villain, Midoriya then claws to save Bakugo. All Might in the crowd sees Midoriya move. He calls himself pathetic over and over again, realizing that he should practice what he preaches and take the risk. Powered up again with blood spilling from his mouth, All Might jumps to the boys, pulling them from the villain's grasp. All Might then lets out a Detroit smash and obliterates the goop villain. The pressure from his punch causes hot air to rise, making it rain, putting out the fires. Midoriya, walking home after getting scolded from the pro heroes, hears Bakugo calling out for him. He thanks Midoriya in his own unique way, and then sulks in the opposite direction. Now with new installed confidence, Midoriya smiles. All Might quickly appears and immediately deflates back to his skinny form. All Might apologizes to Midoriya for telling him that even though he is quirkless, he was the only one who acted. He says that all the true heroes show signs of greatness when their bodies act before they could even think. Midoriya's tears welled up as All Might speaks. Midoriya then thinks back to his mother, apologizing over and over again for being quirkless. He wanted his mom to say the words that All Might is saying to him now. You too can be a hero. This story is about how Izuku Midoriya became the greatest hero.